All right, so day 6 of the creation. A day is of 1,000 years, 2 Peter 3:8, Psalms 90 and 4. Genesis 1:26 says, and Elohim God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. 127 says, so Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him, male and female created he them. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth. And Elohim said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creeps upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every herb for meat. And it was so. And Elohim saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day. Deuteronomy 16:8 says, 6 days shall you eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day shall be a solemn assembly to Yahuah your Elohim. You shall do no work therein. So, who is man? After all that was completed in the first 5 days, on the 6th day, our Creator Yahuah clearly states, let us make man in our image after our likeness. This statement is a powerful and critical declaration that the masses have ignored only to follow the false leaders, teachers, and traditions of men. This statement and declaration are the backdrop of our trials, tribulations, long suffering for those of the chosen people of the body of Yahusha, and is indicative of the reason why we're here on earth. Therefore, if you haven't read and studied our lesson, the reason why we're here, you will need to do so to obtain more concise understanding. Now, regarding Genesis 1:26, the us and our are clear indicators that our Creator is a conglomerate of righteous celestial spirits that is comprised in the one body of Yahuah. Could this be why mankind is so at odds with one another? Because they weren't part of the us and our? Selah. This subject matter is addressed in greater detail in the subsequent content of While You Were Sleeping series, entitled The Truth Regarding the Garden of Eden and the Truth Regarding Outside of the Garden of Eden. The matter of plurality and singularity is also addressed in other content regarding spiritual language and others, so please follow up on this subject matter in more detail in our lessons and content for clarity. It is impossible for one to properly identify man who was created on day 6 without properly understanding who man is made from, along with how and why man was created. Again, this is addressed in one of our lessons entitled The Reason Why We're Here. Therefore, if you haven't studied the lesson, it is imperative that you properly study and understand it in its entirety in order to properly build your spiritual knowledge and become closer to your Creator, Yahuah in spirit and in truth. Once understanding with certainty regarding the reason why we're here, you are positioned to ascertain all of the truth and spiritual knowledge that comes to man as the creation of man knew and knows exactly why they were or are here. Do you know why you're here? Selah. In his image and likeness. Yahuah conveys through his prophets in the early writings of the scriptures the word image and likeness that are key to the righteousness of our creator, Yahuah. It would be this image and likeness that would have dominion over all the earth, or church and assembly, and over everything, keeping thing that I'm sorry, something I wrote wrong there. Over everything that creeps upon the earth, or the church and assembly. Have you seen this image of righteousness? If so, when and how? How will you recognize this image? Is the image ruling the earth today? Selah. To effectively identify the image of Yahuah, we must understand various key factors regarding his spirit, truth, character, righteousness, abilities, and power. Identifying these characteristics assist in identifying the image that he is creating in his likeness. It is only this image that he gave dominion to all things, and any other so-called image would be a counterfeit, fake, false image that would disguise themselves as his prophets, leaders, sons of Elohim or God and his true church. The false images that the masses follows through the broad and wide gate only leads to destruction, Matthew 7:13. The false images will not be able to stand as they are on sinking sand and have not met the criteria of obeying Yahuwah's laws, statutes, oracles, and commandments, while Yahuwah's image, through his son, will have carried out the mission of righteousness via his word. To address the matter in further detail, let's confirm what the scriptures state regarding the image of Elohim or God, Yahuah. Proper application of addressing the image of Yahuah can only come from his word, which is the Bible, and which is only the word, his Bible, the Bible. So the traits of Yahuah: 1, we know that he's unchangeable, unstoppable, and consistent. Hebrews 13:8. He changes not. And I'm not going to read through each one of these scriptures. I want you guys to go back and read these scriptures. Number 2, he's omnipotent or all-powerful. He's omnipresent, which means he's everywhere, and he is omniscient, which is all-knowing. Job 11:7 through 11, Hebrews 6:18, Psalms 24:8, Genesis 18:14, Jeremiah 32:17 and verse 27, Luke 1:37, 2 Corinthians 6:18, Revelations 1:8, Ephesians 3:20, Isaiah 46:9 through 10, Psalms 139:7 through 10, Jeremiah 23:23 and 24. He is giving, gracious, compassionate, forgiving, and merciful. Psalm 103:8, Psalm 103:12, and 1 John 1:9. And of course, there's other scriptures. Number 4, he's a refuge and protection, and he's also shelter. Psalms 46:1, Psalm 91:1 and 2. He's faithful and righteous. Psalms 145:17, Lamentations 3:22 and 23. He's sovereign and just. Psalms 103:19. He's holy, sacred, hallowed, and revered. 1 Samuel 2:2. 1 Peter 1:16. Leviticus 11:34, Isaiah 6:3, Matthew 6:9 through 13. Number 8, he's present for mankind for righteousness' sake. Isaiah 41:10 and Zephaniah 3:17. Number 9, he's fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, righteousness, and truth. Galatians 5:22, Ephesians 5:9. Number 10, he is one body. 1 Corinthians 12 through 13, 12 through 31, verse 27, Romans 12:4-8, Ephesians 1:22, Ephesians 2:19 through 20, Ephesians 4:4, Ephesians 5:23, Ephesians 5:29 and 30, and Colossians 1:16, verse 24, and chapter 2, verse 19. Psalms 8:3-8, and we're going to go over this in a little more detail later. When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have ordained, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you visit him? For you have made him a little lower than the angels, and hast crowned him with glory and honor. You made him to have dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet, all sheep and oxen, yea, and the beasts of the field, the fowl of the air, and the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passes through the paths of the seas. Zechariah 12:1, the burden of the word of the most High for Israel, saith the Most High, which stretches forth the heavens and lays the foundation of the earth and forms the spirit of man within him. The scriptures, Zechariah 12:1, describes the fulfillment of the word of Yahuah, who extends the heavens and lays the foundation of the earth or church, and how he, Yahuah, forms the spirit of man. This is the culmination of all that occurs from day 1 through day 6 to form the spirit of man, the righteous man and the unrighteous man. One must know and understand the entirety of Yahuwah's plan of salvation, as the creation is all about his will, pleasure, plan of salvation, and our repentance for forgiveness of transgressions, and taught and demonstrated in our lesson regarding the reason why we're here. Perfection of righteousness through the only begotten Son. Righteousness for Yahuwah's plan of salvation for his creation comes through his only begotten Son that will deliver the world from the man-orchestrated ills, wickedness, evil, unrighteousness, transgression, iniquity, and sin. His only begotten Son, who was sent to bring and teach the knowledge of truth in spirit and in truth, will have suffered hell on earth at the hands of the wicked to deliver the evil, adulterous generation unto righteousness. The resurrection of the only begotten Son is the perfected first fruits offering unto Yahuah that will bring forth judgment and reckoning to the inhabitants of the world regarding their spirit, whether instituting the evil or operating in the deception from evils by being beguiled and bamboozled. James 1:18, of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. The first fruit of his creatures are the fulfillment of the Levitical laws that are still in effect, as Yahuwah's laws change not. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Hebrews 13:8. The only begotten Son will have fulfilled the law from times past in world age number 1, study our lesson on chart E, and throughout world age number 2. This law must be kept and fulfilled as the only begotten Son of Elohim can do. Study our lesson on Hamashiach's Ben Shel Elohim, the Messianic Son of God, to learn more information regarding the truth of how Yahuah orchestrated his plan of salvation through his only begotten Son that only his prophets, as law-abiding citizens, would know and teach. Leviticus 25:19 through 22. and the land shall yield her fruit, and you shall eat your fill and dwell therein in safety. Verse 20, and if you shall say, what shall we eat the seventh year? I'm sorry, what shall we eat the seventh year? Behold, we shall not sow, nor gather in our increase. Then I will command my blessing upon you in the sixth year, and it shall bring forth fruit for 3 years. And you shall sow the 8th year, and eat yet of the old fruit until the 9th year. Until her fruits come in, you shall eat of the old store. There's a lot to unpack there. All right, and we're not going to unpack it now. We're going to actually talk about that part in another lesson. But as I've stated on many occasions, and must reiterate, Yahuah is not congruent with other gods. Yahuah's laws are not congruent with man's laws. Yahuah's time is not congruent with man's time. Yahuah's love is not congruent with man's love. Yahuah and man are not congruent. You are either man or God's, as he created us to be under his righteousness in the image of his spirit and in truth. So the characteristics of the regenerated man, those of the righteousness of Yahuah who make it in as the first fruits, are those who decreased in the ways of man and increased in the righteousness of Yahuah. The question is, did you decrease by leaving the broad and wide gate, entering the narrow gate to continue forward in him, or did you continue to decrease in Yahuah's righteousness and increase in the Hellenistic wicked evil ways of the cunning serpent, teaching and leading you through the broad and wide gate that leads to destruction? Matthew 7:13 and 14. When we understand these matters through sound doctrine, precept upon precept, line upon line, we can then begin to see, understand, and recognize who we are serving, who we are, and whether we are regenerated and born of his Yahuah spirit, or if we have the spirit of the adversary, Satan, the evil one. Let's review scriptural passages that assist in our understanding. 1 Corinthians 13:9-13. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. Ephesians 4:20-32. But you have not so learned Mashiach. If so be that you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Yahusha, that you put off concerning the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt according to deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which after Elohim is created in righteousness and true holiness. Wherefore, putting away lying, speaking every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Be you angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place to the devil. Let him that steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needs. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim, for Mashiach's sake, has forgiven you. That is of the one body that is being regenerated as man. The rebirth and regeneration of man. The purification and restoration of the regenerated man. Genesis 9:12, God said, "This is the sign of the covenant which I am making between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all successive generations." Genesis 17:12 says, "And every male among you who is 8 days old shall be circumcised throughout your generations. A servant who is born in the house or who is bought with money from any foreigner who is not of your descendants."
Okay, come on.
Colossians 1:15 through 20. Who is the image of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in the earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. And having made peace through the blood of his cross, by him to reconcile all things unto himself, by him, I say, whether they be things in the earth or things in heaven. The first man and the second man. So it is imperative for our salvation and deliverance to understand the difference between the first man and the second man. The scriptural passage below conveys the difference between the two. Since scripture interprets scripture, understanding must align with proper foundation and precepts that have been established in your learning and understanding in spirit and in truth. 1 Colossians 15:45, and so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. 1 Corinthians, Adam was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit. Howbeit that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth, earthy, and the second man is Yahuah from heaven. As is the earthy, such are they also that are earthy. And as is the heavenly, such are they also are heavenly. And as we have borne the image of the earthly, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly. So, the first man, Adam, is of the earth, the assembly, the church fallen from heaven for the sake of Yahuwah's plan of salvation. The first man must go through the fire, hell, and havoc of what the evil one will bring upon him to make his way back to Yahuwah, thereby being born of Yahuwah's spirit in this realm through the purification and restoration process to become and be as one with the second man, Yahusha from heaven. This is why we are born the image of the earthly, and those of us that have been regenerated, born of Yahuah's spirit, will also bear the image of the heavenly. Throughout the process, Adam has struggled giving in, being double-minded, allowing evil to overtake him for a moment in time until he finds his way back to the righteousness of Yahuah to deliver him and the whole assembly as one collective body of righteousness for his name's sake. Then comes day number 7, the kingdom on earth as it is in heaven, the Shabbat, Sabbath, day of rest. Zechariah 14:1 through 21 states, "Behold, the day of Yahuah comes, and your spoils shall be divided in the midst of you. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. Then shall Yahuah go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in the day upon the Mount of Olives,
Bobby!
which is before Jerusalem." Please mute your mic, Bobby.
Okay, my bad.
On the east, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there shall be a very great valley, and half of the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And you shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal. Yea, you shall flee, like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And Yahuah, my Elohim, shall come, and all the saints with you. And it shall come to pass in that day that the light shall not be clear nor dark, but it shall be one day which shall be known to Yahuah, not day nor night. But it shall come to pass that at evening time it shall be light. And it shall be in that day that living waters shall go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter shall it be. And Yahuah shall be the king over all the earth. In that day shall there be one Elohim, Yahuah, and his name one. All of the land shall be turned as a plain from Jeba to Ramon, south of Jerusalem, and it shall be lifted up and inhabited in her place. From Benjamin's gate unto the place of the first gate, unto the corner gate, and from the tower of Hanil unto the king's wine presses. And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction, but Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Most High will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And it shall come to pass in that day that a great tumult from the Most High shall be among them, and they shall lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand shall rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Judah also shall fight at Jerusalem. And the wealth of all of the heathen round about shall be gathered together, gold and silver and apparel in great abundance. And so shall the plague of the horse, of the mule, and of the camel, and of the ass, and of all of the beasts shall be in these tents as this plague. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left of all of the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahuah, Yahusha of hosts, and to keep the feast of tabernacles. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all of the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahuah of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, they have no rain. There shall be the plague wherewith Yahuah will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. In that day shall there be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto Yahuah, and the pots in Yahuah's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah shall be holiness unto Yahuah of hosts, and all they that sacrifice shall come and take of them, and seethe therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Canaanite in the house of Yahuah of hosts. Again, on the seventh day, Hosea 22:17 through 23. For I will take the names of Baalim out of her mouth, and they shall no more be remembered by their name. And in that day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of the heaven, and with the creeping things of the ground. And I will break the bow and the sword and the battle of the earth, and will make them to lie down safely. And I will betroth you unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth you unto me in righteousness and judgment, and in loving kindness, and in mercy. I will even betroth you unto me in faithfulness, and you shall know Yahuah. And it shall come to pass in that day, I will hear, says Yahuah, I will hear the heavens, and they shall hear the earth. And the earth shall hear the corn, and the wine, and the oil, and they shall hear Jezreel. And I will sow her unto me in the earth, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy. And I will say to them which were not my people, you are my people. And they shall say, you are my Elohim, or my God. So the conclusion: the powerful scriptures, when properly unsealed and revealed by those of faith in Yahuah's righteousness, discloses and exposes the false teachings, misunderstandings, and everything that had to take place for Yahuah's plan of salvation. The information further substantiates our Creator knowing all things of his creation of the natural earth, sun, moon, and stars, as well as the same words spoken to create his new spiritual creatures and the firstborn only begotten son, Yahusha, at the end of world age number 2. As you should be able to ascertain and conclude after this lesson, the writings of the scriptures reveal the Most High Elohim, Yahuah, knows exactly how all things operate, including the natural world that he created, all while mankind makes their discoveries and have a fixation on notoriety for rights, claims, discoveries, explorations, and many other to glorify themselves over Yahuah. He that has an ear, let him hear. So, while mankind had to go through all his erratic and unrighteous behaviors, elevating themselves, all while wreaking havoc in hell on earth, it all serves as chastisement and fulfills Yahuah's plan of salvation. An eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, hand for an hand, and foot for foot. Deuteronomy 19:21. All while vengeance is mine, says Yahuah. Romans 12:19. By not establishing the truth according to the scriptures, regarding the creation by knowing Elohim's time, along with time and judgment, man will only fail in his own conceits and agenda and loses everything that they've wickedly done to obtain the natural riches, wealth, power, and more, but only for a moment in time. The plan of salvation and the regeneration of the spirit man provides a means for salvation, deliverance, and redemption as a choice. Therefore, those who refuse Yahuah and his righteousness for his namesake through his son Yahusha, choose death and annihilation, and therefore will not transcend back to paradise in earth age number 3. What creature was created in you by the 6th day before the Shabbat, or 7th day? Which face are you wearing? The face of Yahuah, Yahusha, or Satan and his cohorts? Proverbs 3:19 and 20 said, Yahuah by wisdom has founded the earth. By understanding, he established the heavens. By his knowledge, the depths are broken up and the clouds drop down the dew. Will you hear our witness? Will you see us? Will we see you on the other side of Jordan for Yahuah and Yahusha's sake as a ruler in the kingdom on earth and in paradise? Or will we see you continue as man who goes to and fro only to be destroyed? Selah. John 3:31 through 36 says, he that comes from above is above all. He that is of the earth is earthly and speaks of the earth. He that comes from heaven is above all. And what he has seen and heard, that he testifies, and no man receives his testimony. He that has received his testimony has set to his seal that Elohim is true. For he whom Elohim hath sent speaks the words of Elohim. For Elohim gives not the Spirit by measure unto him. The Father loves the Son and has given all things into his hand. He that believes on the Son has everlasting life, and he that believeth not on the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Elohim abides on him. Colossians 1:15 through 18. Who is the image of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created, that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have the preeminence. It is through the understanding of all that transpires during world age number 1 and number 2, during earth age number 2, that we truly know that there's nothing new under the sun, and that his story or history repeats itself. The follow-up lesson that assists in the understanding and complements this lesson of Yahuah's creation are the truth regarding the Garden of Eden, the truth regarding outside the Garden of Eden, the beast and the false prophets, 666, and Hamashiach ben Shel Elohim, the Messianic Son of God. It is important to note those who have the gospel preached to them are called creatures because they are to be created anew. Mark 16:15. Go you into all of the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Read, study, and let the following passage of Proverbs 8 resonate in you while reflecting on this entire lesson. Proverbs 8 1. Does not wisdom cry and understanding put forth her voice? She stands in the top of high places, by the way, in the places of the path. She cries at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in at the doors. Unto you, O man, I call, and my voice is the sons of man. O you simple, understand wisdom, and you fools, be you of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing froward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understands, and right to them that find knowledge. Receive my instructions, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and find out knowledge of witty inventions. The fear of Yahuah is to hate evil, pride and arrogancy, and the evil way, and the froward mouth do I hate. Counsel is mine, and sound wisdom. I am understanding. I have strength. By my kings reign, and princes decree justice. By me, princes rule and nobles, even all the judges of the earth. I love them that love me, and those that seek me early shall find me. Riches and honor are with me, yea, durable riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. I lead in the way of righteousness in the midst of the path of judgment, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, and I will fill their treasures. Yahuah possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old. I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, wherever the earth was. When there were no depths, I was brought forth, when there were no fountains abounding with water. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills was I brought forth. While as yet he had made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set the compass upon the face of the depth, when he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep, when he gave to the sea his decree, that the waters should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth, then I was by him, as one brought up with him. I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him, rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth. And my delights were with the sons of men. Now, therefore, hearken unto me, O you children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and refuse it not. Blessed is the man that hears me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors. For whosoever finds me finds life, and shall obtain favor of Yahuah. But he that sins against me wrongs his own soul, and they shall hate me. All that hate me love death. What creation are you? Selah. So, after day 1 through day 6, everyone will be judged, understanding, and will know with certainty who they are and who they've been serving, and who was not passed over and who was passed over. So I want everyone to understand and check their understanding with the following questions to help guide them through this lesson. I know it takes several times to go through this lesson to get the understanding. So here's a list of 33 questions, or I'm sorry, 34 questions that will help in your understanding. The first being, what is the Hebrew term for heavens? Second, how does the spiritual context of heaven and heavens differ from what you've been taught or understood? When Yahuah created the heavens and the earth, as written from his prophets, what was he creating? Number 4, what is the terminology of earth typified as in the scriptures of the Bible? Number 5, when was light established according to the scriptures? Number 6, what is light according to the scriptures? What scriptures help us to identify light? Number 7, what is darkness according to the scriptures? What scriptures help us identify darkness? Number 8, what was Yahuah doing when he separated light from darkness according to the spiritual context of the scriptures? Number 9, what does the word waters typify in the scriptures? What scriptures and context assist us in understanding? Number 10, a day is of how many years according to the scriptures? Number 11, do the scriptures declare a day being a 24-hour period? Number 12, why were the scriptures written? 13, did Yahuah give us the word to identify natural matters and conduct our lives according to natural things? Number 14, what is the purpose of creation as written in the scriptures? Number 15, when was dry land, green herbs, and the fruit of the fruit trees created, and what purpose do they serve? Number 16, what is the spiritual context of dry land according to the scriptures? 17, what is the purpose of the lights that were created on the fourth day, and what were the lights? 18, what was there light on day 1 through day 3, since the lights of the sun, moon, and stars were created on day 4? If so, what light according to the scriptures? Number 19, what synonymous terminology is used throughout the scriptures for fowls of the air? Number 20, is every fowl the same according to the scriptures? If so, explain. If not, explain. 21, what are clean birds? Number 22, what are unclean birds? Number 23, what are angels and the different types of angels? Number 24, describe the whales that were created on day 5. 25, are the living creatures that move created on day 5 natural animals according to the scriptures? If so, explain. If not, explain. 26, explain the image of Elohim. Number 27, how was man created in the image of Elohim? Number 28, according to the scriptures, which gate does the regenerated man of first fruits who was born of Yahuah's spirit go through? The broad and wide gate or the narrow gate? Number 29, why were the scriptures written the way that it was, given the appearance of natural matters? Number 30, is our creator Yahuah natural or spiritual? What scriptures assist us in understanding? Number 31, what is the difference between the first man, Adam, and the second man, the second Adam? Number 32, was the creation story in the scriptures written for us to know about nature, sun, moon, stars, animals, trees, grass, herbs, birds, whales, and living creatures that move on the natural earth? If not, what is the purpose of the creation story and its proper spiritual context according to the scriptures? Number 33, did the leaders of mainstream religions, government systems, community, and your households teach you these matters from a spiritual perspective, precept upon precept, for sound doctrine to know your spiritual creator in spirit and in truth. Number 34, what will you now do with this knowledge and understanding? And that is today's lesson and the conclusion of the creation. Selah.